Video game challenge runs are a type of content on YouTube that recently I have gone down a rabbit hole. Specifically, I've gone down the Fallout challenge run rabbit hole, where I've watched a lot of videos of people taking different Fallout games that they deem too easy and adding a unique little twist, a unique little fun challenge to them to make their next run of Fallout a bit harder than what it normally would be. So after watching a lot of these videos, I decided to try my hand at one that up until now I haven't really seen on YouTube at all. I have seen it since starting working on this video. Like, I saw it yesterday when I was already done recording and working on this video, but I hadn't seen it up till that point. And that simple challenge is, can you beat Fallout 4 in power armor? Or rather, can I beat Fallout 4 in power armor? Meaning, straight out of Vault 111, I just beeline it to the Museum of Freedom, get my first set of power armor, and I'm not allowed to leave that power armor for the rest of the game. Will I be able to beat Fallout 4 without ever leaving a suit of power armor? That is the question I set out to do today. Right, okay, just wanted to record this at the top to show the mods list. I'm gonna have 2 mods enabled for this run. The first one is going to be this one, which is Start Me Up Full Dialogue Prompts version 6.1. That mod is gonna be enabled, and all this allows me to do is just skip past the pre-war segment of the game, and it allows me to start right as I'm waking up from cryo sleep in Vault 111, and then I can go to the nearby terminal and edit my name and special perks there. And then the second one is Fallout 4 Script Extender. I only have this one enabled because I think I need Fallout 4 Script Extender for Start Me Up to work. It's like a dependency thing. All these other mods that are gray and disabled, don't worry about them. Those are just the mods that I have disabled, and I will re-enable them for the Fallout 4 Cursed Let's Play I'm doing. So these are all the Cursed Let's Play mods, and that's also why they're censored, is because I don't want to give off the mods that are being used for the Cursed Let's Play. But I will tell you about these 2 mods, as they're the only 2 mods I will have loaded. It is just to skip the bit at the beginning for pre-war part, just so that way if I do more of these challenge runs, I don't have to worry about playing through the pre-war bit again. And with that bit out of the way, let's get right into the run. So I customized my character going off of the typical Trisha Takanawa template, and it's also part of the rules that I'm not allowed to leave my power armor at all if I can help it. I also can't deal damage or kill anything until after I get my power armor at the Museum of Freedom. So from Vault 111, even like from the cryopod to the Museum of Freedom, I can't kill or damage anything. I also ended up naming my character appropriately. Her name is Penelope Our Armor. And I ended up going 10 in strength off the bat so I can get Pain Train, which allows me to do damage just by running into enemies. Perception 7 so that I can get Refractor, as since I plan on siding with the Brotherhood this run, I need defense against Institute Synths. And I put 3 in Intelligence so that I can get Gun Nut, as this isn't a run that restricts weapon usage. Having a head start on making these weapons better and more powerful will be a great help, because I already have a ton of defense in the form of power armor. And finally, 5 in Agility so that I can get early access to the Action Girl perk. Since I'm going to be doing a lot of sprinting into enemies and using power armor the whole game, I figured putting my points into Action Girl could come in clutch later down the line. As per the no killing until I get armor rule, I can grab the baton, but I can't actually use it, or the 10mm pistol, to kill any of the rad roaches when leaving the vault, as I'm not in power armor. So my first thought was maybe if I got somewhere they couldn't reach and just crouch, they'd lose interest and leave. But I made one fatal error. Roaches do have eyeballs. So my next thought was to use the Tesla coil generators to zap them into submission. But that didn't really work either, as they decided they weren't going to get zapped. However, when I did get there, I did notice a nice pile of them already died on the ground. I didn't loot any of the roaches in Vault 111 that died because I figured it wasn't fair as they weren't my kills. When that plan failed, I noticed that the roaches can't open the sliding doors, so I kited them behind one of them and shut the door, thus allowing me to sneak my way into an agriless state to get the Pip-Boy. I decided there's no harm in getting the nearby Rad-X and 2 stim packs before making a beeline to the Museum of Freedom, as getting past all the raiders is going to be hell if I don't have any kind of healing items. So I ignore Codsworth and even unmark him as my main quest, as we can't kill anything until we have this armor, so going around the neighborhood killing bloatflies wasn't in the cards. I figured I'd also grab the Drifter outfit, pipe pistol, tire iron, 38 rounds, and mongrel dog meat from the dead man and dog across Sanctuary Bridge. But then I remembered what I said about the rad roach meat in Vault 111, and since I didn't kill them, I'm not going to loot them. I opt to skip past dog meat at Red Rocket as I'm not in armor, and even if dog meat killed something before I had the armor, I consider that me killing something in pre-armor, as I have exercised the power to prevent it from happening. I give the blood bugs wide berth, as why get in an engagement, and waste valuable healing items if I can't fight back. Whilst avoiding the blood bugs, I did find some items in a toolbox and ammo box and decided to take them as they aren't on something I didn't kill, and just like the 10mm pistols and stim packs in Vault 111 and the frags in the trash can before Sanctuary Bridge, I considered them fair game. After Concord finally popped up as marked on my map, I remember there's a Nuka-Cola Quantum in a nearby house with a cap stash that I can get for free at the entrance to Concord, and since it's along the path, like everything else I looted, it's fair game. So getting past the raiders at the door was easy enough. However, once I was inside and got to the Minutemen, I forgot that in order to get into that room and past it to get to the power armor, you have to clear out the raiders. So it was time for plan B. After almost dying from the raiders outside and having to use a stim pack, my next plan was to get to the top of the next door church and parkour over the vertibird to get the power armor. Finally, after playing for about a half hour, I managed to get the suit of power armor off of the top of the Museum of Freedom, and I could finally put this minigun and everything else I looted to good use against the raiders. Now the trick with power armor, the thing that made me think this challenge was possible, was the fact that even if your power armor has no fusion core, you can still walk around in it out of power, which is dreadfully slow, but it makes the game still possible. Now, as I was gunning down the raiders that had followed me into the church, one of them went all the way to the watchtower at the top, and after I gunned them all down, the guy at the top managed to fall to his own death as I was reorganizing my favorites. It's a shame. After I had managed to clear out the raiders inside, something peculiar happened. When I was talking to Sturgis about the power armor on the roof, which I already got, I heard a little bit of dialogue I haven't ever heard before from him about the suit not having a fusion core in it.
Well, hold up a sec, hotshot. That suit's out of juice. There's a fusion core locked up in the basement. Trust me, you'll want to grab it.
After having a bit of trouble hacking the terminal downstairs to get the fusion core, I ran past Preston Garvey to get back up to the roof to the objective marker, and he took a tone with me that I personally didn't take too kindly to.
You plan on dying today? No? Then move it.
I took to the rooftop and got very worried for a moment as I thought I'd soft-locked the quest, as the marker was just floating where you would have put the fusion core into the power armor. Luckily, it wasn't completely busted, as when I walked through the vertibird, the rooftop raiders spawned, and after crushing all of them under the almighty 38 caliber pipe rifle, I took advantage of the Deathclaw's lack of fitting into tight doorways and laid into it with the minigun until it committed not living. I made my way back into the museum just long enough to get my experience for the quest, and then it was time to be on my way back to Red Rocket to get dog meat and the extra fusion core in the cave underneath Red Rocket. Also, on my way back, my first and only fusion core gave me the 20% full beep. So, after making the mole rats meet the trusty tire iron, I decided to sell everything I owned that I didn't need to Trash Can Carla and take all the caps I could, and then headed for Drumlin Diner. I introduced Wolfgang and Simone to the trusty tire iron as well, when then I made a very depressing and unfortunate discovery. I can't equip base armor without leaving the power armor. What this meant was if I wanted better armor, I could only replace the power armor's suits parts and not the actual armor and outfit I'm wearing underneath, thus rendering any and all clothing and armor that isn't power armor completely useful for nothing but a few extra caps for the rest of this run. After that disappointment happened, I sold everything Wolfgang and Simone had on them to Trudy and decided to check out what random encounter I would get at the random encounter house. Turns out it was a Yao Guai, and I'm not taking that behemoth on at the level I was at. And then I remembered I didn't sell the minigun, so I decided to give it a try. I did end up defeating the Yao Guai with pretty much the rest of my minigun ammo, and it would have been less if Dogmeat hadn't soaked up a third of the ammo that was meant for the Yao Guai into his back. With some newly acquired Yao Guai hide and meat in hand, it was off to Diamond City. Now, even though I had originally planned on siding with the Brotherhood at first, it was around this point I realized that if I really want to have a nice stream of replaceable power armor parts, siding with the Institute was actually going to fare me better, as I could easily get replacement power armor parts from Dead Brotherhood instead of having to rely on repairing my power armor, which, by the way, I can't do, as that would require leaving the power armor. Also, with this realization of being unable to repair my power armor, I realized that putting 3 points into intelligence to get Gun Nut was a waste of 2 points, as I could have probably put them elsewhere to get a perk that would help more, seeing as I can't even use weapons and armor workbenches. I decided on the way to Diamond City to make one final stop at Jailbert Brothers' disposal and clear it out for some extra XP, as the mole rats there are easy and I tend to do it every time I play the game for the extra XP. I also made sure to steer clear of the Brotherhood because I knew I was going to kill Dance, Halen, and Reese, but I didn't want to do it just yet as I feel kind of under-equipped to do so. So other than Jailbert Brothers' disposal, I beelined to Diamond City. The only other thing of note that happened on their way to Diamond City was I came across Scrap Rat and their traveling trio of scavs. So I looted them after having them meet Miss Tire Iron with the intent to sell everything they had to the traders in Diamond City. I also decided to help the Diamond City guards with the super mutants and also got another better pipe pistol, seeing as I somehow misplaced my previous pipe rifle. I think I may have accidentally sold it to Trudy at Drumlin or something. Now, as I waited for Piper to finish her conversation, I decided to put my 3 perk points to good use and got Pain Train, Rifleman, and Cap Collector, seeing as I was about to do some trading, and honestly caps are more invaluable than ever for this run, as I am trying to keep this power armor powered as much as possible. After I got inside, I traded with Percy as it was nighttime and the only person I could trade with was him. I sold everything I wasn't using or didn't need, including the minigun, as I was all but out of 5mm rounds, and sadly he didn't have a spare fusion core I could have. Thus concludes my first hour of gameplay to Diamond City. From here on out, this video will get kind of jumpy, as I'm only going to be talking about important or notable things that I'm doing in the Commonwealth whilst in power armor to beat the game. Since it was nighttime, however, the other traders weren't out, and with some time to kill, I decided to go clear out Hardware Town for some extra supplies and XP. While I was there, I also mixed a can of green paint so that I can give it to the lovely man who needs it for another smidge of XP. So with more time to waste, I decided to head back to the boat under the bridge, as there's a raider with power armor there that I might be able to scrounge up parts to replace my damaged parts with. Sadly, it took a lot to take him down, so all but one of the parts were usable for me. And halfway there, my only fusion core I had on me also ran out. So my only hope was to get to Diamond City after the sun rises and get me some fusion cores with the caps I've managed to collect. Also, for those of you who don't understand how actually slow the walking speed when you're out of power in your armor truly is, here's a time lapse so you can get a 16th of the taste of what I dealt with every time this happens during this run. Well, I still got back to Diamond City too early, so I just decided to let the game AFK while I watched some YouTube on my other monitor. When daybreak finally came, I traded everything to Arturo, including the broken power armor part, and got enough caps to break 1,000. But I was overjoyed when I looked at his ammo section and saw 3 fusion cores for sale, and I had the caps for 2 out of 3. Now that I had 2 more fusion cores to use up that were fully charged, I figured now I'd go get Nick Valentine. Don't get me wrong, on normal playthroughs I love Dogmeat, but he doesn't put out enough damage or do enough for me at this point. Dogmeat can distract and do melee damage, but he has no range, so I figured having a companion that can have some ranged attacks would be nice. And Nick can hack terminals for me if I need him to, which is also nice. So on my way to the subway station, sadly a couple of feral ghouls ended up breaking all my armor aside from my helmet and torso, but I met up with Ness where she offered me a pitiful amount of caps to do a hard job, so I declined, but I ended up taking her out anyways thanks to some amazing tire iron stun locking.
Your loss.
The first stage of Triggermen weren't too hard, as long as I stuck to some cover and methodically wiped them out. I was happy this time around, as something I didn't get to show off in my cursed playthrough, I was about to show off here. And that was opening Vault 114 without an animation because I'm in power armor. Skinny Malone actually didn't end up being too bad, which was good because the Triggermen had taken out the last of my armor, and for the first time this run, I was completely out of power armor pieces. That being said, 1 frag grenade was enough to make short work of Darla and the guards. After that, it was just 1 submachine gun mag and Skinny was down. He wasn't moving very fast because the frag ended up blowing up his leg and crippling it. So after I sold what I made from Vault 114 and buying Arturo's last fusion core, I realized I still need more caps, so I decided to crash Latimer's drug deal. I helped Paul kill Cook and took the chems from the drug deal. I also decided to raid Cook's place later and sold everything in there too, netting me a solid 4,200 caps. I decided to use my 3 skill points I had just acquired during that journey to get Action Girl, Refractor, and Gunslinger so that I could do some more damage output. Then I went to talk to Nick Valentine. As I was walking away to go to Nick, I heard the mayor start his public speech, which is a nice scripted event that would keep the mayor out of his office, which was perfect to go try to steal Kellogg's key preemptively. However, this turned out to not work, as the chair in front of the terminal was preventing me from hacking it in power armor. Not only that, but there was also a guard that wouldn't leave the secretary's side, so I had to go talk to Nick first, and hopefully by the time I was done talking with him, I could go get the key from the desk after the guard had moved. Unfortunately, as soon as I entered Nick's office and spoke with him and Ellie after looting their place, I ran into my first and last real obstacle of the run. Having to sit in a chair. See, here's where you sit down and tell Nick that the person who kidnapped Sean was Kellogg and he ends up taking you to Kellogg's house. However, I could not sit as I'm restricted to power armor, so I had an idea, hoping that this would save the run. I managed to actually push the Diamond City guard all the way onto the elevator and push the button sending him down so that I could lockpick the secretary's desk and get the key, but when I got into Kellogg's house there was no button below his desk to press to get the San Francisco Sunlight cigars to progress. So I only had one last thing in mind that could hopefully save this run. My only hope for saving this run is to go to Fort Hagen, and maybe Kellogg will be there and I can just skip a huge chunk of this quest and the game. But I personally doubted it highly. But not wanting to leave any stone unturned to salvage the run, I pressed on. However, along the way, I encountered a group of Stingwings who made short work of me in under a minute, so that resulted in the first death of the run. On my way to Fort Hagen, I did find a partially complete set of power armor that I took the fusion core and the armor from. Normally, I'd be absolutely gassed as I just found some protection, but I wasn't too excited as I thought this run was surely dead. So, I got a bit disappointed when I got to Fort Hagen and there were no sentry turrets stationed around the roof, which usually there are when you're doing the Kellogg quest. The next thing was a raise in spirits as I walked in, and to my surprise, there were actually synths and a synth leader inside the fort. But after I cleared out the path to the elevator, sadly, the run was officially dead. Instead of there being a functional elevator and a button to push to go down, there was a boarded up one, not allowing me to progress further into the fort, and with that, the run was over. I had a lot of fun with this, and if you enjoyed, consider leaving a like and tell me what challenge you'd like me to take on next in the comments. If the challenge is too easy, I'll modify it to make it harder, and if it's too hard, I'll modify it to make it easier. I'm looking to challenge myself, not play Dark Souls. So thank you all so much for watching, and now we have answered the question. Can I beat Fallout 4 without ever leaving Power Armor? The answer is no. And all thanks to a stupid chair.